want to take just a moment and talk to you about microphones, because you're going to encounter some things as you go through and give speeches in different places. There are basically three kinds of microphones. There's a lav mic, which I'm wearing here, and it looks kind of like this. It's a lavalier mic, clips on somewhere up here, and then this part attaches to your belt or puts inside of a pocket. You have a, sometimes you'll have a podium or a lectern with a mic attached to it. And then the third kind of microphone is a handheld. Now, you should find out ahead of time. Call your event coordinator and find out what's going to happen with the microphone, because these really do change how you operate. Given the choice, I like the lavalier mic because it is hands-free. But here's the thing, and I don't know how many times I've seen this happen. If you're a female especially, and you wear a dress that doesn't have any pockets or any belt, this has to attach to something. It does. So if you don't, I mean, think about it when you get dressed in the morning. If you wear a suit, like a man's suit like I'm wearing here, it's easy enough to slip this in your pocket or attach this to your belt, which I have mine for the filming here today. I have it attached to the back of my belt here. But if I have this and this is attached, this has to go somewhere. We actually had somebody have to go into a restroom and have one of her friends attach this to the back of her bra strap so that it had some place that it can ride. You really do need to have a belt. And it's, you know, this is the look most people would go with anyway. So I like the lavaliers because you can use your hands. Now this is an important point, is if you're going to use a handheld like this, and then you're choking up a little bit and you need to take a drink, a lot of times you'll have a note and you'll have a microphone and you'll have one other thing. Go ahead and take the top off of your bottle of water and have that sitting just there where you can get to it. Because if you haven't broken that bottle, already broken the seal on that, then that can be very difficult to do if you've got notes, if you've got, like I do, reading glasses, and you've got four things in your hands, and then you're trying to get to that. I'm not a big fan of the lectern for obvious reasons, because it makes you just stay here. And a lot of people will end up kind of grasping it, and they look kind of desperate. It's not a good thing. Given the choice, call ahead and see if you can get off the lectern. Some places you just can't, because that's what they have, that's their AV situation. But it's not an optimum situation for most things. Sure, you can put your notes here, but I think that ends up hindering you a lot, because most people want to walk around. Your eye follows movement, and so if you're walking around, if you're moving, then the eye's going to follow you. The handheld is fine. You know, you have to remember to use it. People who haven't done a lot of microphone work will tend to, you know, hey, how are you doing? Okay, well, today we're going to talk about, and then the mic, people in the back can't hear because your mic's gone. The nice thing about the handheld is if you're a very dynamic speaker, you can get it very close and whisper. And then if you're somebody that would, if you're going to yell, then you can move it away from your face. So you can say, well, listen, and then, hey, guys. You know, you can do that with a handheld if you're good at it. And if you watch singers, if you watch somebody sing, they'll do this. They'll move it close and they'll move it away and they'll move it close and they'll move it away, depending on that. But the problem with a handheld is that if you have any sort of neck, back, shoulder issues, or if you're going to be giving a speech that lasts, I mean, if you're speaking for 3 hours, this can really, I mean, after a while, that can really lock up that arm and shoulder. So it's not very heavy, but at the same time, that's very difficult on your shoulder. Now, I know some comedians like the microphone because it actually gives them something, it's a prop, you know, they'll do, you know, whatever. So of the choices, I would always choose the lavalier mic. But like I said, just make sure that you wear something. Now, all of this, you should be able to find out in a pre-call. If you call the event organizer, you should certainly have a pre-call with the event organizer and ask a number of questions. And one of the questions would be your AV setup or your audio-visual setup. And a lot of times they have a guy. It's always a guy. I don't know why it's not a girl, but it's always a guy. They have a guy who's in charge of that. And if you're worried about this, if this comes to be a problem, try to speak with that AV person ahead of time. You know, ask them about their microphone situation, because they may well be able to hook you up with a lav if they know in advance. But if the last 3 people before you used a handheld, they just may assume that you're going to use a handheld as well. You need to ask anyway. If you're going to have any kind of a PowerPoint or keynote or anything like that, you're going to need to have those answers as well. So it's just a good pre-call. Usually it lasts about 5 minutes, but just ask the question. Now, when you're out, got your microphone. When you're out, you have to look at where in space your speakers are. It's really easy to take this microphone, run it in front of a speaker, and get a feedback, you know? And so I always try to get to venues ahead of time, and I will work with the AV guy or gal. I will work with them, and I'll say, okay, what do I need to know here? What places in the auditorium do I need to watch out for? Where in the auditorium should I not go because the microphone will cut out or will have that interference? And we'll go through the PowerPoint, the slide decks ahead of time, one after another. Look at every single one of them so there aren't any surprises. If you have video inside your PowerPoint, it can be very powerful, but you've got to let that AV person know well in advance because he's got to take the audio out of the computer and into some speakers and get the levels right. So he has to know that ahead of time. So your AV tech person is a friend, and they should be, and you should go in there early, plenty early. When they ask you to do a mic check, do a mic check over and over and over again until they're really comfortable. Be appreciative and kind to them, and when you're done, say thanks, because that AV person, if they like you, they can really get you out of a mess. And if they dislike you, you know, they can just let you flounder. So it's very important that you do that pre-mic check ahead of time. And one final thing about the mic is you have to assume you always have the mic hot, no matter what. It could be on the lectern here, it could be sitting here next to you, and when you're wired up like I am today, it's really easy to forget. And so you could be in the hallway talking, and that stuff still comes through and bleeds through into the auditorium. So as long as you have the microphone on you, you have to assume that you're hot and that people are going to hear what you say. And that's a disaster. So just be aware, the moment they put that microphone on you, and they have a little mute button, but I wouldn't trust that either. The final thing to say here is, guys especially, it's a good idea to go through your pockets and take out all of your cell phones and your PDA and all that stuff and your wallet and everything. Clear it all out, because one, it'll have you a slimmer figure, and you won't have this bizarre bulge back here. You already have one because of the mic pack. But two, the microphones are often on the same frequency as a cell phone, and it's really easy for every time something happens on your cell phone, like you get a message, for it to make a little buzz, zzz, 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 and you don't know what it is, but it's really your microphone interference with your cell phone. So take all that stuff out, leave everything you can, take everything out of your pockets that you can, leave that. Take your name tag, if you wear those, off. Leave that. You just want to see the figure here. You don't want to see all that bulges and all the extra stuff there. I hope this helps. I would love for you to give me some feedback. Tell me if you've had problems that I haven't brought up. I'll do another video on that. Thanks very much.